Episode 21. The Call That Changes Everything. Catherine's voice had deteriorated to a rasp by the time she reached call number 267. The employee on the other end, a cabin cleaner named Patricia Williams, who worked the red-eye shift, had started crying when Katherine thanked her for standing up at the meeting. "Nobody ever calls us," Patricia said through her tears. "We're invisible. We clean up after everyone goes home, and nobody even knows our names." Catherine's throat ached as she responded, "I know your name now, Patricia, and I won't forget it." When she hung up, Katherine glanced at the clock, 9:47 p.m. Her office was dark, except for the desk lamp, casting long shadows across the walls. Through the window, she could see the Manhattan skyline glittering against the night sky, a view that once represented power and success. Now it just reminded her how disconnected she'd been. Sitting up here in this tower while people like Patricia Williams worked invisible shifts, cleaning toilets and scrubbing floors. Her phone buzzed. James Rivera. "You sound like death," he said without preamble. "Good evening to you too." "I'm serious, Katherine. You need to stop. Your voice is gone. I have 316 more calls to make, and they'll still be there tomorrow. You're going to permanently damage your vocal cords." Katherine leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes. Maria Rodriguez's crayon drawing was still taped to her monitor, the Mars rover with the stick figure in a business suit. "Thank you for helping my dad." "I made a promise," Katherine said quietly. "Yeah, and you're keeping it, but you're no good to anyone if you can't talk. Take tomorrow morning off, sleep, recover, start the calls again at noon." "I can't, Katherine." James's voice was firm. "This is a marathon, not a sprint. You have 29 days left. Pace yourself." She wanted to argue, but her throat burned with every word. "Fine, noon tomorrow." "Good. Now go home. And actually sleep in a bed this time, not your couch." After she hung up, Katherine sat in the silence of her office. The building was empty at this hour, just her and the security guards downstairs. She should go home, should follow James's advice. But her phone buzzed again. This time, an email from Sarah sent 20 minutes ago. "Katherine, Raymond Chen just called me. Says it's urgent. Won't tell me what it's about, but he sounded scared. He's asking if you can meet him at the maintenance facility, tonight." Katherine's exhaustion vanished, replaced by a cold spike of adrenaline. Raymond wouldn't ask for a late-night meeting unless it was serious. And if he was scared, she grabbed her coat and headed for the elevator. The maintenance facility was in Queens, a 40-minute drive from headquarters. Katherine called Raymond from the car, but he didn't answer. She tried 3 more times during the drive, each call going to voicemail. David Chen, her driver, glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Everything okay, Ms. Morrison?" "I don't know yet." The facility was a massive hangar near LaGuardia, where Skyward's aircraft underwent regular maintenance and inspections. At 10:30 p.m. on a Saturday night, it should have been nearly empty except for skeleton crew working overnight checks. But when they pulled up, Katherine saw Raymond's car in the parking lot, and another car she didn't recognize, and lights on in the main office. "Want me to come in with you?" David asked. "No, stay here. If I'm not out in 30 minutes, call James Rivera." David's expression tightened, but he nodded. Katherine walked across the empty parking lot, her heels echoing on the pavement. The night air was cold, carrying the smell of jet fuel and hydraulic fluid. Through the hangar's windows, she could see the silhouettes of aircraft, massive shapes looming in the darkness. The office door was unlocked. Katherine pushed it open and found Raymond Chen standing in front of a computer terminal, his face pale under the fluorescent lights. Diana Reeves was there too, arms crossed, looking grim. And standing beside them was someone Katherine hadn't expected, Marcus Webb, the FAA deputy director who had overseen yesterday's inspection. "Katherine," Raymond said. His voice was tight. "Thank you for coming." "What's going on?" Webb stepped forward. He was a tall man in his early 50s, with graying hair and the bearing of someone who'd spent decades in aviation. "Ms. Morrison, I apologize for the late hour, but we have a situation." Katherine's stomach dropped. "What kind of situation?" Raymond turned the computer monitor toward her. On the screen was a maintenance log, pages and pages of entries, highlighted in yellow. "After we finished the FAA inspection today," Raymond said, "I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. So I came back tonight and started going through the historical logs, not just the past 17 months that Westfield corrupted. I went back 3 years. He pulled up another screen, more highlighted entries. And I found something worse than the monitoring status problem. Much worse. Diana spoke up, her voice hard. Tell her about the engines. Raymond's hands were shaking as he scrolled through the data. Aircraft N2847, the same one we grounded yesterday for hydraulic issues. 3 months ago, it had an engine inspection that flagged abnormal vibration patterns in the number 2 engine. The mechanic recommended immediate replacement. But it wasn't replaced? Katherine asked. Raymond shook his head. The work order was marked as deferred for budget review. Then it disappeared from the system entirely. No follow-up, no resolution. Just gone. How many engines are we talking about? Catherine's voice was barely audible. 14 aircraft, Webb said. All with engine issues that were flagged, then buried. Some of them have been flying passengers for months with problems that should have grounded them immediately. The room spun. Katherine gripped the edge of the desk. There's more, Diana said. Show her the memo. Raymond pulled up a document. It was an internal email from 18 months ago, sent by Richard Pemberton to the head of maintenance operations. We're over budget on engine replacements this quarter. I need you to be creative with deferral categories. Remember, our competitors run their engines longer than we do. We have margin to work with. Just keep the planes flying and keep the costs down. Katherine read it twice, her hands trembling. He told them to defer engine replacements to save money. And they did, Raymond said. For 18 months, critical engine work was systematically deferred, reclassified, or hidden. The monitoring status category was just the tip of the iceberg. This goes deeper. Much deeper. Webb's expression was grave. Miss Morrison, I need to be clear about what this means. These aren't minor maintenance issues. These are systemic safety violations that put hundreds of passengers at risk. The FAA will be conducting a full audit of your entire maintenance operation, going back 3 years. Every aircraft, every log, every work order. How long will that take? Katherine asked. Weeks, possibly months. And during that time, I'm required to ground any aircraft with unresolved engine flags. He paused. Which means, based on what Raymond has shown me tonight, we're looking at grounding approximately 73 more aircraft, effective immediately. The number hit Katherine like a physical blow. 73 aircraft. Combined with the 42 already grounded, that was 115 planes, more than half the fleet. That will destroy the airline, Katherine said quietly. We can't operate with that few planes. Thousands of flights will be canceled. Millions in losses. The stock will crater. The board will... She stopped. Because none of that mattered. What mattered was the 14 aircraft currently flying with engine problems that should have grounded them months ago. What mattered was that Pemberton had knowingly, deliberately, created a system that prioritized quarterly budgets over passenger safety. What mattered was that people could die. When do you need my decision? Katherine asked. Webb looked at her carefully. Ms. Morrison, this isn't your decision. I have the authority to ground aircraft based on safety concerns. I'm informing you as a courtesy before I issue the order. But you came here first, Katherine said. You called Raymond instead of just issuing the order. Why? Webb was silent for a moment. Then, because of what you did yesterday. You voluntarily reported the monitoring status violations when you could have hidden them. You grounded aircraft even though you knew it would cost you your job. You proved that Skyward's leadership is finally taking safety seriously. He gestured to the computer screen. This engine problem is different from yesterday's issue. The monitoring status violations were clear-cut regulatory failures. But engine deferrals exist in a gray area. Airlines defer engine work all the time within acceptable parameters. Pemberton's memo suggests he pushed beyond those parameters, but proving criminal negligence versus aggressive cost management is complicated. So what are you saying? I'm saying that if you voluntarily ground these aircraft and commit to a comprehensive maintenance overhaul, the FAA will work with you. We'll expedite inspections. We'll provide technical support. We'll help you get these planes back in the air as quickly and safely as possible. Webb's eyes were hard. But if you fight this, if you try to keep these planes flying or challenge our authority, I will bring the full weight of the FAA down on Skyward Airlines. I will make sure every violation, every deferred work order, every cut corner is exposed and prosecuted. Do you understand? Katherine understood. This was her choice. Cooperate and maybe survive, or resist and definitely die. Except it wasn't really a choice at all. Ground them, Katherine said. All 73, tonight. Raymond exhaled. Diana nodded, something like respect in her eyes. Webb pulled out his phone. I'll make the calls. We'll have inspection teams here by morning. As he stepped away to coordinate with his office, Katherine turned to Raymond. How did you find this? What made you keep looking? Raymond's face was haunted. Thomas Okonkwo's testimony, when he talked about his daughter asking why he's always angry. His voice broke. I have a daughter, too. She's 9. And I realized that every time I signed off on a plane, every time I trusted the system, I was gambling with her life. With everyone's life. He gestured to the computer. So I came back. I looked deeper, and I found this. Diana put a hand on Raymond's shoulder. He called me at 8 p.m., showed me what he'd found. We called the FAA at 9. Why didn't you call me first? Katherine asked. Raymond met her eyes. Because I needed to know this was real. That it wasn't just me being paranoid. Diana and I spent 2 hours verifying everything before we called Webb. And when he got here and saw the data, he shook his head. That's when I knew we had to tell you. Katherine's phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Wall Street Journal just posted a story. Someone leaked the engine groundings. It's going viral. Of course it was. Someone on the night shift had seen the FAA vehicles arrive. Or maybe Westfield had sources in the FAA. It didn't matter. Katherine pulled up the article on her phone. Breaking. Skyward Airlines grounds additional 73 aircraft after discovery of systemic engine maintenance failures. Sources say FAA audit reveals 18 months of deferred engine work, potentially putting thousands of passengers at risk. CEO Katherine Morrison, who survived a board vote yesterday after grounding 42 aircraft for safety violations, now faces questions about how long she knew about the engine problems. Katherine's hands clenched around her phone. The implication was clear. She'd known about this. She'd covered it up. Her phone rang. Patricia Hughes. Katherine, tell me it's not true, Patricia said without preamble. Tell me you didn't know about engine problems and hide them. I didn't know. Raymond discovered this tonight. I came straight here. The Journal is saying. The Journal is wrong. Pemberton buried this 18 months ago. I found out an hour ago. Patricia was silent for a long moment. Westfield is calling an emergency board meeting. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. He's demanding your immediate removal. Of course he is. Katherine, this is different from yesterday. Yesterday, you voluntarily reported problems and took responsibility. But this, the optics are terrible. It looks like you've been covering up safety issues for months. Christine Blackwood is already saying she made a mistake abstaining yesterday. Jennifer Walsh is wavering. Katherine closed her eyes. 24 hours. She'd survived 24 hours as CEO before it all fell apart. I'll be there, Katherine said. 9 a.m. When she hung up, Webb had returned. The grounding order is official. Inspection teams will arrive at 6 a.m. tomorrow. We'll need full access to all maintenance records and facilities. You'll have it, Katherine said. Webb studied her face. For what it's worth, Miss Morrison, I believe you didn't know about this. Pemberton covered his tracks well. But belief isn't going to save you from the board or the media. I know. There's going to be a criminal investigation. The DOT will want to interview everyone involved in the deferral decisions. That includes you. I understand, Webb nodded. Raymond, Diana, you two did the right thing tonight. The FAA appreciates your integrity. After he left, Katherine stood in the maintenance office, surrounded by computer screens full of evidence of Pemberton's corruption. 115 aircraft grounded, thousands of canceled flights, millions in losses, criminal investigations, media firestorm, and an emergency board meeting in 12 hours that would almost certainly end with her termination. Her phone buzzed again. Just saw the news. Coalition is meeting at my place. 6 a.m. We need to talk strategy. Then Thomas Okonkwo. My daughter asked if you're going to be okay. I didn't know what to tell her. Then Miguel Rodriguez. Maria's worried. She thinks this is her fault for asking you to help. Please tell me what to say to her. Katherine looked at Maria's crayon drawing, still visible on her phone's lock screen. The Mars rover. The stick figure CEO. Thank you for helping my dad. She thought about Patricia Williams, the invisible cabin cleaner who cried because someone finally knew her name. About Marcus Williams, the cargo handler who'd never gotten a call from corporate in 9 years. About the 637 employees who'd stood with her yesterday, putting their trust in her promise to fix the broken system. And she thought about Thomas Okonkwo's 7-year-old daughter, asking if the CEO lady would make her daddy stop coming home angry. Katherine pulled out her phone and started typing an email to the entire company. To all Skyward employees. By now, you've seen the news about the additional aircraft groundings. I want you to hear the truth directly from me. Tonight, pilot Raymond Chen discovered evidence that engine maintenance was systematically deferred for 18 months under my predecessor's cost-cutting directives. 14 aircraft have been flying with engine problems that should have grounded them immediately. I was informed of this at 10:30 p.m. tonight. I immediately authorized the FAA to ground all affected aircraft. This brings our total grounded fleet to 115 planes, more than half our operational capacity. This will cause massive flight cancellations, significant financial losses, and intense scrutiny from regulators and media. I am not telling you this to make excuses. I am telling you this because I promise transparency. And transparency means telling you the truth even when it's painful. The truth is that Skyward Airlines has been broken for longer than I realized. The truth is that the corruption ran deeper than I knew. The truth is that people could have died because profits were prioritized over safety. Tomorrow morning, the board will meet to discuss my removal as CEO. They may succeed. I may not survive the day. But whether I'm here or not, this changes nothing about our mission. The aircraft will stay grounded until they're safe. The reforms will continue. The promises we made will be kept. Because this was never about me. This was always about you, about creating an airline where employees are valued, where safety is sacred, and where doing the right thing matters more than protecting quarterly earnings. If I'm removed tomorrow, I need you to keep fighting. Don't let them undo what we started. Don't let them go back to the old ways. Hold them accountable. And to Raymond Chen and Diana Reeves, thank you for your courage. You saved lives tonight. Never forget that. Skyward Airlines. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. Raymond was watching her. That's going to make things worse with the board. I know. They're going to say you're being dramatic, manipulating employees again. I know. But you sent it anyway. Katherine looked at him. I spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder by playing it safe, by reading the room, by saying what people wanted to hear. And it turned me into someone who didn't even know her employees' names. Someone who was so disconnected from reality that an entire airline could be rotting from the inside, and I had no idea. She gestured to the computer screens. I'm done playing it safe. If I'm going down tomorrow, I'm going down telling the truth. Diana smiled grimly. Then we're going down with you. You don't have to. Yes, we do, Raymond said. You stood up for us yesterday. You grounded those planes when you knew it would cost you everything. Now it's our turn. Katherine's throat tightened. Thank you. Her phone buzzed with responses to her email. Dozens of them. Hundreds. From James Rivera. That email just bought you a lot of loyalty, but it also painted a target on your back. See you at 6. From Thomas Okonkwo. I'll tell my daughter you're fighting for her. That's all she needs to know. From someone named Jennifer in HR. I've worked here for 12 years. This is the first time a CEO has ever told us the truth. Thank you. From a mechanic named Carlos. We knew about the engine deferrals. We were told to keep quiet. Thank you for finally saying it out loud. Katherine closed her eyes. The mechanics knew. Of course they did. They'd been the ones doing the work. The ones being told to defer and defer and defer. How many people had known? How many had stayed silent because they were afraid of losing their jobs? Her phone rang. Sarah Chen. Katherine, I'm seeing the responses to your email. Sarah's voice was thick with emotion. It's incredible. Employees are posting it on social media. It's going viral. The hashtag #StandWithCatherine is trending. Katherine laughed bitterly. That's going to make the board love me even more. Maybe, but it's also going to make it harder for them to fire you. Public sentiment is shifting. People are saying you're the only CEO with the courage to tell the truth. Public sentiment doesn't pay the bills, Sarah, and it doesn't keep planes in the air. No, Sarah said quietly, but it might keep you in your job long enough to fix this. After she hung up, Katherine stood in the maintenance facility office, exhausted beyond measure. Her voice was gone. Her body ached. Her mind was spinning with the magnitude of what she'd just learned. 115 aircraft grounded, an emergency board meeting in 12 hours, criminal investigations looming, the airline hemorrhaging money, and somewhere in Queens, a 7-year-old girl was asking her father if the CEO lady was going to be okay. Katherine picked up her phone and dialed. It rang 3 times before a sleepy voice answered. Thomas? It's Katherine. I'm sorry for calling so late, but I need you to tell Maria something for me. What is it? Tell her that her daddy is going to be okay. Tell her that I'm going to make sure of it, and tell her. Katherine's voice broke. Tell her that I'm not giving up. No matter what happens tomorrow. There was a long pause. Then Thomas said, She's going to ask if you promise. Then tell her I promise. When she hung up, Katherine looked at Raymond and Diana. I need to get ready for tomorrow. Can you two stay here and coordinate with the FAA teams when they arrive? Of course, Diana said. Raymond nodded. Katherine, whatever happens tomorrow, you did the right thing tonight. Katherine managed a tired smile. The right thing seems to keep costing me everything. Maybe, Raymond said, but it's still right. Katherine walked back to the car, where David Chen was waiting. As they pulled out of the parking lot, she watched the maintenance facility disappear in the rearview mirror. Somewhere in that building, hidden in computer logs and buried work orders, was evidence of 18 months of corruption, 18 months of safety violations, 18 months of gambling with people's lives. And tomorrow morning, she would face a board of directors who would decide whether she lived or died as CEO. Katherine pulled out her phone and opened her call list. 316 employees still waiting for their thank you calls. She started to dial, then stopped. Her voice was gone. James was right. She needed to rest. But there was one more call she had to make. Maria Rodriguez answered on the second ring, her voice small and scared. Hello? Maria, this is Katherine Morrison. Your dad told me you were worried. Are you in trouble? Did I cause this by asking you to help? No, sweetheart. You didn't cause anything. Sometimes doing the right thing is hard, but that doesn't mean we stop doing it. My dad says you might lose your job. Maybe, but even if I do, the promises I made to him, those promises still matter. And your Mars rover project? That's still amazing. And you're still going to get information about those STEM camps. Really? Really, I promise. Maria was quiet for a moment. Then, Miss Morrison? My teacher says that heroes are people who keep fighting even when they're scared. Are you scared? Katherine's eyes burned. Yes, Maria. I'm very scared. But you're going to keep fighting anyway? Yes. Then I think you're a hero. Katherine couldn't speak. She just nodded, even though Maria couldn't see her. Thank you, Maria. She finally managed. Now go back to sleep, and tell your dad I said goodnight. After she hung up, Katherine sat in the back of the car, watching the city lights blur past. David Chen's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. Home, Miss Morrison? Katherine checked her watch. 11:47 p.m. The coalition meeting was at 6 a.m. The board meeting at 9. She needed to prepare, needed to build her defense, needed to figure out how to survive tomorrow. But first, she needed to do something more important. Take me to headquarters, Katherine said. I have calls to make. Ma'am, your voice? I know, but I made a promise, and I'm keeping it. David nodded and changed course. Katherine pulled up her call list. 316 employees. 12 hours until the board meeting. She could sleep when she was fired. She dialed the next number. Hello, this is Katherine Morrison, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I'm calling to thank you personally for standing with us. And in the darkness of the car, with the city lights streaming past and the weight of tomorrow pressing down on her shoulders, Katherine Morrison kept her promise. One call at a time.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.